Okay, let's talk about depth of field, DOF. What's depth of field like? Now, you hear it all the time around the traps, but what is depth of field? Depth of field is basically how sharp your photo is from the foreground to the background. A shallow depth of field, I'm in focus, the background's out of focus. A deeper depth of field, I'm in focus, the background's in focus as well. But how do you get that? How do you get your shallow depth of field? Depth of field is controlled by three things. It's controlled by aperture, so the opening in your lens. It's controlled by the focal length of your lens. So say you're using a longer lens, say a 70 to 200. At 200mm, your depth of field will be shallower than at 70mm. It's also controlled by your distance to the camera. How close are you to the camera? How close are you to the person taking the photos? Those three things control your depth of field. So if you have a look at the background's quite blurry. We're at f2.8, so the aperture, the blinds in the camera are open right up, so really wide. That's what they call wide. Okay, so the background's nice and blurry. What we're going to do, we're going to close the aperture down. Now we're shooting at f16, so the aperture blinds are closed right up. If you actually look into the end of the camera, you actually see the little diameter's got smaller in the middle of the camera there. I'm sharp, and the background is much sharper in the background. The beauty about that is you've got basically the whole photo is in focus. The thing that's really important here though, even more so than the background being on focus, to me as a professional, is that I can actually move back. If I move back here, I'm still in focus. If I move a little bit forward, I'm still in focus. The beauty about a really deep depth of field like f16, f11, f16, is basically the distance of focus is much wider. It's much wider. So you don't have to have everybody right in the one spot. You can have one person here, another person here, everybody will be in focus. Whereas at f2.8, the other end of the scale, I can be in focus, but a person standing right here is out of focus. So one of the considerations about shooting depth of field is you need to consider, if you're shooting f16, well, you need to shoot a higher ISO. You need to set a higher ISO. For instance, we were shooting f16 at ISO 800 on this video. When we did the f2.8 video, which is a little bit earlier, where I had the very shallow depth of field, like everything was blurry at the background, we were shooting at ISO 100. So for more tips and tricks, visit us at learnphotographyhq.com. We'll see you there.